Well, welcome everyone to another episode of Stories for Healing. As you know by now, this is something that started in the end of October. I thought it would last for a week or so, and here we are now barreling through December, still with lots of stories to be told, lots of storytellers from around the world, all different sorts of traditions and cultures and types of stories, all coming out because you know what? We need these stories. We need the stories for healing and for reconciliation. We don't need to be told, I'm the good guy and you're the bad guy. We need to be told, how is it that we work together? And so we collect stories and storytellers. And it's really, really my pleasure to be able to bring them to you and to the people you know. Today, I'm very pleased to be able to have Here's Crow tell us a story. Um, Please, Here's Crow, tell us a story.
I would be delighted to tell you a story. I gave some thought because there are so many wonderful stories that are have the essence of what this work is that we're trying to do. And some of them in smaller ways, some of them in larger. This story is has been told by many different nations. I've heard it from native tribes from Abenaki. I have seen it from up north. The most frequent time that I got to hear this story was Willow Green, who is a well-known Abenaki storyteller. And she, I believe, told it about a sparrow and another tree. This, the little bird in the cedar, is very much along the lines of the Narragansett tradition. And it all began long ago. And it was just coming on to winter. You know, that nip that gets in the air makes you think, oh, we ought to go look at the wood pile. And it was a time to prepare. The birds would fly south. Many animals would dig into their burrows. But one little bird couldn't fly south this year. It would have been very hard with a broken wing. And he watched his friends go because, of course, they had to. And as they flew away, he was in the meadow and he thought, what am I going to do? I need food and I need to be safe. And his poor wing joint was like this as he began to flutter along through the meadow. How will I get food? I'll never make it through the winter. Someone will come and eat me because I can't get off the ground. And continued, he did. And he looked up. And right over there was a line of all kinds of beautiful trees at the entrance to the forest. Well, he thought woods probably safer than a meadow, so I'm going to go over there. And that's exactly what he did. And he fluttered and he rocked his way over. And the very first tree that he saw was a lovely, slender silver birch. And he looked up and he said, oh, Miss Birch, you have such lovely branches. Could I spend the winter in your branches? And Miss Willow looked down. Look at you. You're broken, you're dirty, down there on the ground. I have to take care of my own leaves this winter. Go away. Well, poor bird's feelings were hurt. He couldn't help being dirty. He certainly couldn't go in the water and flap around, not with this wing. So he dragged himself a little farther into the woods. And there he came upon a mighty oak. And he looked up at the oak. He thought, well, that would keep me safe. And so he girded his loins, so to speak, and came up to the oak and said, "Grandfather, can you help me? I've broken my wing and I can't fly south. I need someplace to stay this winter. You have such strong branches. Could I stay in one?" And the oak looked down. "You would eat all my acorns that are left. Go away, boy, you bother me." Well, now, Little Bird had no idea what to do next. But he kept on going. He knew he couldn't stop, for surely he would die. And he heard just then a stream, and he followed the sound, fluttering and dragging his wing beside him. And there at the edge of this beautiful stream, just starting to fill with bits of ice around the side, he saw a weeping willow with her branches dribbling down to the water. "Oh, weeping willow, you are so magnificent. Could I stay in your branches this winter? I've broken my wing and I can't fly south. I'd never catch my friends." And the willow looked down. "My heavens, what are you talking about? Stay in my branches? You can't even dangle into the water. Go away." Well, now he felt it was all over, that it would be a matter of when he died, not how. But he went a little deeper in the forest. But now is he not only fluttering and dragging, he can barely speak because his fear is deep that he will be abandoned. And he comes deep as he can walk. He's too tired to go any further, and he moves the wing and tries to let it rest a little. And he hears a voice. "Oh, little bird, what are you doing?" "Oh, grandfather, I didn't know it was you. My flock has gone south. My wing is broken, and I am surely meant to die here. I asked those standing ones, those trees over there, and they laughed. They laughed at me. They wouldn't help me." With that, the cedar looked at him and said, "This is a warm place. See how thick all the pine is on my branches. Climb up, and I will keep you warm." And with this, the little bird got really excited because this was the grandfather cedar. And all of the natives thought he was the most sacred thing that there was in the forest. So he was feeling pretty chuffed with himself. And he managed to just get himself right to the edge. But then he thought, "Grandfather, can I stay all winter?" And the grandfather cedar looked down and said, "I'd be glad for your company." And with that, the little bird went, and up he climbed, all the way up the thick onto the branch, up against the trunk. And there he nestled close in and was able to finally completely relax his wing. And then he heard another voice. And he looked around behind the grandfather cedar. And there was a tall, straight pine filled with thin but thousands of needles. And the pine said, well, my branches are not as thick or comfortable as cedars, but I can keep the wind off you, for the wind will blow my pine needles, but they will stay and protect you. Well, Bird thought things aren't going to get much better than this, and he thanked both of the grandfathers. And just as he was about to drift off, he heard his tummy rumble. And with that, he heard one more voice. It's kind of high-pitched. Oh, little bird, are you hungry? I am Juniper, and I have lovely little berries, and I have them all winter. When you are feeling up to it, just come a little to the edge of the branch, and I'll let the wind bring my berries to you, and you'll have berries to eat all winter, because my berries are very good for little wounded birds. And with that, he had a few berries, and his tummy was full, and his wing was relaxed, and he was warm and comfortable, no longer afraid, knowing he was among like-hearted beings, and these standing ones surely were. But he had a question. He said, Grandfather, before I sleep, I have a question. And the cedar said, whatever you want, my boy. Why did the other trees make me go away? They didn't want to help, but they looked like they were big and healthy. I don't think I did anything wrong. And Cedar said, no, you did nothing wrong. And they are who they are. We all have gifts, whether it be tendrils that can drink from a stream, or we could make food for other animals, or it might just be that one of them was having a bad day, because everybody does. But here you are safe. And with that, the little bird curled back up, tucked his head underneath his good wing, and went to sleep. It's good timing, because just then, the north wind blew through. He came through every year, and he would try and shake the leaves off all the trees. He never succeeded, but he really tried. But one would fall here and one would fall there. Never really made him feel like he'd done his job. So he went to Creator and he said, Creator, is it time? Can I blow really hard right now? I want to take out all the leaves this year. Creator said, no. You see those trees around us? You may take their leaves, and this year you may take them all. But these green trees, do not take their needles and their fires from them. They shall lose a little throughout the year, but when winter comes, they will be green. And that is why today, the storyteller and all of my two-leggeds refer to them as the evergreens. Oh, Thank you so much. A story worth telling for me. I hope you enjoyed it. Jim?
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Uh, it really is a great story, a good time of year for it, but also a good time in the year of our spirits, I think, for us to hear this story. Um, and as you say, this is a story that has made its way around many different peoples. Um, Now, and I know it's a story that you've made your own. Can you say a little bit about how you've made this your own?
It was really pretty simple. I have attended a number of workshops, and just for a little plug, many of them were Jim's. And I have had the opportunity to share with it is a there's always another side to a coin. And one of the gifts of this pandemic for me has been for me to recognize how small this small blue planet really is. I am storytelling with people from Kenya and New Delhi and Budapest and England and Buenos Aires, Argentina. Who thought I'd be telling with somebody from Argentina? Actually, I'm producing that one, but all of that opened my eyes. And then some of the work that Jim and some others have done let me go deeper. So when I looked at my stories, I sat down and I said, there are sacred stories in here. I know there are. I know my people. But I had never done a discernment of, I mean, I know which ones I usually do for the kids. I know which one I do for adults. I have mixed, I even do some personal stories on occasion. But this was about cultural collaboration for me.
Mhm.
And to look into, while I was looking at others people's stories and listening to them, I was catching pieces that were awfully familiar. And I thought, need to take out my old book. And I did. It has some of my mother's stories in it and mine and some that have been gifted to me. And sure enough, for the first night that I sat with the binder,
Mm.
that I said, I don't know, but it looks and smells right. So I took them and put them in a pile on the side. And I've been doing that and going through each one. And this is one that I could see. I imagine that I saw past the story that I was gifted.
Hmm.
And I looked at, why would they have told this story?
Hmm.
This wasn't a story about shaming the others or glorifying, because none of us are perfect. It was about how different people can be, but that doesn't make them wrong and it doesn't make them bad. It just makes them different. But something was posted on Facebook the other day that will live with me as long as my memory lasts. And that is, and now I'm probably not going to get it right. You could get it right, Jim. And it was, who is the other?
Mm.
And the answer was, there is no other.
Yeah.
And that comes down to why I am now storytelling in a very different way than I have in over 30 years. And I intend to keep on digging and I intend to keep on telling as long as Creator lets me.
Wonderful. 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 Well, folks, another episode of Stories for Healing. And if you can't figure out why these are stories for healing, well, watch another one because it'll come clear to you. But really, what a great treat, and it's a real humbling thing for me to be able to gather these people together and give them a voice to and an opportunity to share these stories. So, as you know, you can find them on YouTube, you can find them on Facebook. Share them with others. Let people know this is going on. We're not making any money off of this. We're just trying to bring a little bit of healing and reconciliation to the world. Tell each other stories. And you know what? figure out how you can be someone who actually gives to someone else, even if it just seems like a little thing, and you'd be surprised what comes back to you. So thanks again. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye.